Welcome to the 10 and 2 podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Catlin.
And we're here every week talking watches, photography, adventure, and exploring the world of horology.
I miss adventure.
I know.
We're
not so much adventure right now.
Right. We're not really talking about adventure or travel. Well, you got to do some adventures recently.
I did. Yeah, that was my one goal. Since we didn't go anywhere, just with everything going on, I didn't really want to travel. And I know that we totally could have, but we kind of just did a staycation instead, which was a lot of fun. And we just made it a goal every day to go somewhere and do something. So, yeah, we got to visit lots of parks around the area and we had a great time.
That's fun. The pictures turned out amazing. It looked really, really fun.
Thanks. It's crazy how different landscape photography is, and I really want to focus some of my skills on getting better pictures because I feel like I can throw down a watch pic no problem in like
girl,
2 seconds.
Throw down is an understatement on what you can do with a watch pic. Stop. No. Don't even. Don't be humble or shy, girl.
But
don't even.
For the life of me, I can't take a picture of a tree. So
yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna run into
hard.
the same thing. So because so I have Tyler signed up for online classes this year, and so or for at least the first half of the year, so through Christmas. And yearbook pictures are always done like around October. So they've asked us parents to take our own kids' yearbook pictures. And you know I'm extra. And now that I have a camera, I'm not going to just do like some cell phone photo. So
yours is going to be so good.
So extra. But now I have to figure out, like, I need to start practicing, like, using my camera for what I said I would use it for. I said I would use it for, like, family pictures and stuff like that. And then occasionally watches. Well, it's really been the opposite. So I need to practice because I have to do this by October. So I had to take a couple of portraits and then, like, and in the email it said lifestyle shots. And I was like, I got that. Like, lifestyle shots I've got down. I mean, I'll just aim up from the wrist to like a face, but I can do that. But portrait,
you got it,
man. I gotta practice. We'll see. I'm just gonna start taking random portraits of people.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it is you got to just shoot more and more and more. And I just need to get outside. I need to start shooting outside more.
Also would help if it's not 1,000 degrees outside.
I know.
Y'all,
for real.
So we recorded the video for our next YouTube video, which will be out here in probably a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We picked possibly the hottest day of the year. It was so hot. So hot. And we're outside the whole time. It's so humid and we try to be cute.
Downtown.
But thank goodness our faces are in these videos.
No, I had to cut our faces out because it was just a hot mess.
That makeup melted. The hair was frizzy. Man.
Oh, my hair was up in like 2 seconds.
I envied you because I didn't bring a hair tie. My hair it was so hot. Oh, man. Yes. So when it cools down, we need to get outside and practice some photography. Ooh, I'd really like to have it down by fall. Like the fall foliage and like really be able to get some good outdoor landscape shots. Ooh.
For sure.
All right. Goals.
Yeah.
I know what I need to work on. So, Kat,
we got to put the watches away and like look around you. Look at your surroundings.
No. What are you talking about? I'll be like, ooh, look at these pretty leaves on the ground. Let me take photos.
Oh, this will go really well
with the watch.
Exactly.
Oh, dang it, man. How is this our lives?
I don't know.
Well, but since we do have a watch podcast, today we have watchy things to talk about. So what are we doing today, Kat?
Yeah, we are going to review the Fair Aqua Compressor Hecla Titanium, which we had this one for a while. And I think as we get into this today, you know, we had some surprising thoughts on this one too. our opinions definitely changed on it.
Oh, for sure.
And but it was exciting because we both have been fans of Fair for a while, and they actually sent us, before we got this Aqua Compressor, we had their Beagle, we had one of their chronographs. And what was the third model we had? We had
the World Timer.
Oh, the World Timer. Yeah, absolutely. And that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got this one, and since this one was sort of a newer model, we decided to do the review on this one. And yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
I am too. Well, so let's talk, before we get into the watch specifically, let's talk a little bit about Fair as a brand. So for those of you who don't know, they are actually a fairly new brand. They were founded in 2015, just kind of on the idea of premium quality without the markup. Like, all of their watches are sold online, so they don't have the middleman aspect to it. And the heart of their brand is based off of the spirit of adventure. So actually all the watches are named after iconic explorers, vessels, and locations, which I thought was super cool. And if you look on their website at each individual piece, it will tell you why it's named that way. So you can find out like what the backstory is behind the name of whatever watch you're looking at. And I just think that's really cool. Yeah, I had no idea, actually.
Yeah, and you know, for those that also don't know, they are a British design company, but their watches are all Swiss made, and they actually list on their website where they manufacture all their watches in Switzerland, which for a lot of micro brands, you don't often find that. They keep that information pretty private, and that's of course up to the brand itself, whether they want to disclose that. But I like that they were so open with it too. Just kind of showing that they're not embarrassed. They have nothing to hide about who they're working with, and they're kind of proud of that, and something that I admired about it.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely agree with that. And then they really focus a lot on the combinations of different colors and textures, which I think you really see. Yeah. So we've had 4 of their watches in now, and there's not a single one of the 4 that just looks like an ordinary watch. Each one was so unique in its identity, because of the bold use of colors and the bold textures that were on the dials. I mean, even I would say the Beagle was probably the most simple out of the 4 that we got in, but even that stood out because it had the bright color.
Bright.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the bright green. And I think that's what drew both of us to the brand in the first place, because we both like color. We like people that aren't afraid to play around with different colors. And yeah, they did not disappoint.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump into some of the specs. Catlin, do you want to kind of go through some of them real quick?
Yeah, let's get through them. So the Aqua Compressor, this is the Hecla version, which, like Kat said before, is the titanium with the blue dial. All right, so there are 2 other variations. The first one would be the Endeavor, which is actually an all black DLC watch, and then the 11, which is a silver dial with black and orange bezel. But for this one, we are reviewing the Hecla because that's what we had. So it is a grade 2 titanium watch. So the name, since we were talking about the way that all the names have history, it's named after the HMS Hecla, which is a Royal Navy bomb vessel that was launched in 1815. So I find that fascinating that they actually list that on their website. The case is titanium, cushion shades, and it has a satin sunray brushed top, but then it has polished sides and back. So you have that really nice mix of brush and polish there too. You have a really deep blue dial that has a waved pattern to it. The numerals on the dial are raised, but then you also have the inner rotating bezel because it is a compressor, with engraved hour and minute markers that are filled with white.
Yeah.
I like that the hour and minute hands, they're outlined red, so they really stand out against the blue, but then they're filled with white and luminova. And then you have the blue second sweep hand. Like we said, like Fair isn't afraid of using color. So you have red hands, you have a baby blue, second hands, you have this dark blue dial, twin crowns. So you have a bronze crown at 2:00, which sets the time. Then you have a titanium crown at 4:00, which is the rotating inner bezel. And both of those crowns screw down. So when we talk about measurements, it measures 41.5 millimeters across. The lug to lug is 45 millimeters. It's 12.5 millimeters thick with 20 millimeter lugs. But then also something that I found fascinating is the crowns are 7 millimeters wide. And when you operate them, they're so easy to use because they're designed that way. It is designed to be a dive watch because it's a 300-meter water-resistant timepiece. So
yeah, and they're very grippy too.
Yeah,
like
very
it's got
grippy.
a nice grip to them. They're super easy.
Great. Yeah, for sure. You have a curved sapphire crystal, exhibition case back, rubber strap. You have super luminova on the hands, the numerals, and on the inner rotating bezel. Like there's so much lume on this watch, which I mean, of course, love. And so 300-meter water resistant, limited to 150 pieces, and retails at $1,175. But what I love about this watch, because we have a soft spot for any sort of environmental cause. So $25 of it goes to the Hebridean Whale and Dolphin Trust, which is actually to protect Scottish Hebridean marine life. So absolutely love it. $25 of each of the 3 series of all of the watches sold will go to that. And
very cool.
Absolutely love it. The movement, got to get into that part real quick. It's a Sellita SW200-1, which is your standard automatic 3-hand movement, hour, minute, second hand, 38-hour power reserve. I think that's it. There's a lot, y'all. Like there's so many.
That was a lot.
There's so much to the dial and just to the overall design. Yeah.
I think the only thing that I think you covered it all basically, but
did I? Okay. I'm like tired. I need a sip of water and a nap.
Just a quick mention that they do have a 5-year movement guarantee with this watch, which is not something you see from a lot of micro brands, and they do ship worldwide, and there is a free 30-day return. So just
nice.
some important facts when you're buying a watch online from a brand that you've never heard of or you can't go see in person. These are the kind of things that I think matter, especially with some of these independent brands. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially the return policy. That is such a big deal for me. I know whenever I'm buying something, especially if I haven't tried it on before.
Catlin, we don't return watches.
No, we just hoard them all.
We hoard them. We keep them all.
Hoard all of them. Oh, man. The struggle is real, y'all. Oh, man. All right. So if you've not heard one of our reviews before, that's all the facts we're going to give you. The rest of our review consists of 5 questions that we, as watch enthusiasts, not as like reviewers or anything like that, but we as enthusiasts who are buying a watch, that we ask ourselves whenever we consider making a purchase. And they're designed just to be totally our opinions, and to really make us think about certain aspects of the watch. Because Kat and I had our own opinions. They were very strong opinions about this watch from the beginning. But when you really break it down, like it really caused us to think about the little things about the watch and what we enjoy or what we don't enjoy about it. So with that being said, let's get into it, Kat.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Question number 1. What is our favorite and least favorite feature of the watch? And I will let Kat start with her favorite feature, because we always start on the positive.
We always start on the positive. Always. We always end on the negative too.
Well, no, like at the at the end, it gets better.
We promise. Hang in there. No, so my favorite thing about this watch is, so I was going to say the dial, but we got nitpicked on Instagram for always mentioning the dial. So I was like, okay,
but
well, I'm going to say something different.
Pretty, y'all.
Yeah. And to be honest with you guys, we only accept watches in for review that we both like. If it's a watch we don't like, we just tell them no.
Yeah. Because we want to be honest, but we don't want to bash anybody at all. That's not our intent with this. I feel like you guys know that by now. We're not here to bash people. And if we know that there's something like that, neither of us are just going to like anything about it, we just won't do a podcast review.
And that's probably why a lot of our reviews are on the more positive side, because we are getting watches that we both kind of adore and like. So anyway, all right. So moving on. Right, what I picked as my favorite thing, it's the numerals that they use. So most dive watches that you see have these rounded lume pips. That's kind of just the standard dive watch look. Sometimes you get the square rectangular ones, but they're usually big because you want them to be easy to read underwater. Well, Ferrer used these big 12, 3, 6, and 9, and they're basically an oversized numeral on the dial. But the dial's so simple, even with the wave pattern on the background, that it makes it extremely legible as a dive watch, in my opinion. And like I said, I think that even with all the font and everything else that they use and all the colors, it still looks very simple to me. And I really, really like that, especially when you're looking for a watch that you do want as a dive watch.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Okay. The dial, of course. No. In all seriousness, I would say that I think my favorite feature, and it's very generic, but it's that there's so much contrast on here. And like you have the wave pattern, you have the huge numerals, like what you were talking about. Even the numerals on the inner rotating bezel are big. Like there's nothing small or subtle about any of it. So you have contrasting colors. You've got the black, you've got the blue, the red, the baby blue, the bright white of all the superluminova on everything. And the patterns with the wave and then the way that the numerals are applied, the way that the text on there is applied. But everything is so legible and clear, and like it all blends in perfectly together and flatters each other, which is something that you would not expect. Like when I list out all of those different dial features, none of that really should work together. But it does here. And I think that's what Fair plays so well at. It is taking all of these different ideas, throwing them together, but making it work instead of just making like a hodgepodge. Yeah. What would you say is your least favorite feature?
My least favorite, and this was really hard because I had to really, 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 really become very nitpicky to find something I just didn't like about the watch. And for me, that's the rubber strap. So
okay.
I am very picky about rubber straps. I'm picky about everything, y'all. Like I shouldn't even say it. I am. There's a Goldilocks in me with rubber straps. Like I want them to be thick, obviously, and I want them to be very well made, which this strap is. But I also want there to be like some pliability to the strap and for it to really form around my wrist. And this one was a little bit more rigid than I would have liked. That being said, I think that that rigidness is what's going to make it last so long. So I don't want to dog it, and it's not a bad strap, but I just felt like it could be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more pliable and soft. Again, that's me just being really, really nitpicky about this one. And it's something that I do realize that you can easily change. Just put the watch on a different strap. But since it does come stock on this strap, I feel like I kind of had to point that out.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Now, I do like on the strap how it has the ridges on the back of it, which just kind of allows it to breathe a little bit better on the wrist. It's not just a flat rubber sitting against it. But I agree about the pliability. Like I do like a rubber that's going to be a little bit more just kind of loosey-goosey, I guess. I don't know, for lack of, man.
Yeah.
Really on top of these descriptions today. So...
All right. So what about you? What's your least favorite thing about the watch?
Come at me, y'all, but I don't know how I feel about the bronze crown. And this is something that Fair does in a ton of their watches. They really...
love it.
I don't see, come at me in the DMs. It's fine. I can handle it. I've got thick skin. But I don't know how I feel. To me, it's a little bit distracting. I would say like on the titanium it probably blends a little bit better because the grade 2 titanium is just so dark, so it's not quite as distracting. But I think Fair does this on a lot of their watches, is have a bronze crown. So it's just not my favorite.
Yeah, I think I like it. It's like a little signature for them, and I like it especially here because you can easily tell which crown works what. So that's the one you set the time with versus the other one, since they don't have different textures on the crown itself. But I mean, that again, I can see why you don't like it, because it is distracting. It doesn't match the rest of the watch per se. So, but I kind of like it.
Fair enough.
All right, so let's jump into the next one, which is, how versatile do you think this watch is?
I hate answering this question on this watch. in all honesty, this is a dive watch. It's a very sporty dive watch. It's not like it's not a dive watch that you could do in a lot of situations. To me, versatility means like, versatile as far as like what outfits it can be worn with, what straps it can be worn with. For me, the versatility on this is a little lower. It's like 5 out of 10 because really the only way you could wear this is just really casual. You couldn't wear this. I mean, you could. It's just not my style to wear this if I were a little bit more dressed up, like a nice blouse or, nice jeans or t-shirt or heels or anything like that. So I rate it a little lower, but it's not designed to be versatile. So I do understand that aspect of it. What about you?
I gave it like a 5 or 6 too. I think this works extremely well as a dive watch, as a sports watch, but in that more casual style wear, I even had a hard time like shorts and a t-shirt, tank top. Yeah, absolutely. But when I was a little bit more dressed up, I just felt like I didn't want to put it on. I wanted to put on something else.
Yeah.
And that for me kind of goes back to there is some polishing on the watch, but it's on the sides where you don't really see it. And so the lack of polishing on top and around the watch just made me feel it's a little bit more of a tool watch, which is what it was made for. So
right.
you can't really ding it for that. But yeah, I don't think it is a very versatile watch. Even putting it maybe even on a leather strap could work a little bit better, but this is made to be worn on rubber. And yeah.
All right. Well, so as a dive watch, our next question is, does the Hecla suit its designated purpose, and who is this watch made for? I think that this watch, obviously it's a great dive watch. It's easy to see, it's easy to read, and it's got a ton of character. And I feel like, especially the Hecla that we had, the colors just scream summer to me. And I just picture this watch on someone that's on the beach, on a boat, in the water, sports. Yeah, I think it's absolutely designed for its purpose. What about you? Yeah, I agree. It holds up to everything you would want in a dive watch. 300-meter water resistance. Both crowns are screwed down, which I really enjoy. I mean, the reality is the inner rotating bezel didn't have to be screwed down, but they did it anyways. So I do appreciate that. It has the bold loom. It's super easy to read. It's definitely there. I think that this is for somebody who wants a dive watch, but they don't want just like your regular run-of-the-mill dive watch. I think it's so easy to just copy and paste amongst brands of very similar style. And the reality is they're watches. You can only change so much about them. But what Vera has done was made a dive watch that's unique. It's not just another blue steel sports watch, it's such a unique, the cushion case shape, the compressor design, everything, it's so different than what you see out there, that they've made it for people who just don't want, what everybody else has. And I like that. I definitely like that.
All right. And then going into the next one. So do you think this watch provides a fair value for its cost?
Okay. So I really put some thought into this one. This is probably my favorite question, I think. It's the most thought-provoking to me.
It's always good to think about.
Yeah, this is the one that you have to actually research too, so the rest are just like opinions, but this one you really have to think about. Okay, so the watch retails for $1,175, which is a tough spot for a micro brand. And we know this because we have a lot of friends who have micro brands. There are a lot of people that we talk to regularly. So we know that the pricing for any micro brand is a tougher spot because they are all online. So, people don't have that hands-on experience with them. Aesthetically, there's not really a lot out there that's anything similar to this, in all honesty. The one watch that really came to mind from another micro brand that I'm a big fan of was the Notice Duality, which is another compressor style watch that retails at $700. But even then, it's a much more clean.
I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, it's a much more clean and traditional compressor style. It's definitely a little bit more on the, it's going to be more versatile. It's a little bit, I hate to use the word safe because it's still such a beautiful and unique watch and the guys have designed it so well, but it's not as daring as far as colors and patterns and everything that Fair is known for. And if you look at some of the bigger brands that just use the same movement, in a dive watch. You've got Bell and Ross uses this movement, and they use it in the BR0292, which is $2,500 or $3,000. And still, like, as much as I love Bell and Ross, they just have the same overall design, just in different colors, basically. So, and it's nowhere near this design, but if you're looking for something funky and different, that's another option. But then you have the Zen U1, which is also a more expensive piece. I would say that's probably as close to this as you would get. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than fair. There's nothing out there like it to compare it to. So, I think that they have the right to kind of charge what they want to charge. And, all the reviews are phenomenal on the watch. We've had the experience with it that everything operates really well, which I enjoy. Even the inner rotating bezel, a lot of times, like, there's extra play with inner rotating bezels once you set them. But on this one, you didn't have that. Like, it set very neatly, and then it was easy to go ahead and screw the crown in without any kind of play afterwards.
Definitely.
Sorry, that was my long answer. Kat,
you're fine.
What do you think?
I agree. I think this watch actually comes in at a very, very good value. And I think it's a little unfair that a lot of people, and I get why they do, but they always kind of bash these micro brands and independents anytime they're over $1,000. Yeah. And I get it because they're online and you don't get to be hands-on with them a lot of times. But I think it's a little unfair at this point, especially for some of the more established brands, even like Manta, Fair. I just think it's a little unfair sometimes because there's an assumption that, oh, you're a micro brand, you should be under $500. Yeah. And no, because you think micro, you think small, but these brands are not really that small. They're more independents, as I would call them. But yeah, you're right. There wasn't a lot out there aesthetically that looked like this watch. There were some older Belovas that were compressors, and I couldn't find anything that was like in current production that really looked like this watch and was a sports watch. There were some that were more dressier. There's like the Longines Legend Diver that has the inner rotating bezel.
Oh, yeah.
That's $2,300 though. And granted, you probably could find it cheaper on the gray market. But again, it's a little bit on the dressier side. Like, it's not really that like fun dive watch, bright colored watch you're going for. And then just another micro brand with a similar movement would be Manta, the Ocean King, but that comes in at $1,700 on the rubber as well. So I honestly think that this Fair, a titanium watch on a fantastic rubber strap, even though it's not my favorite, is a really good deal coming in at just over $1,000.
Yeah.
I like, honest, there's just not a lot out there. Like, you can't really compare it to much. So I think it's very fair.
Awesome. All right. Well, so let's move into our last question, which is this a watch that would get long-term wear in your collection?
Probably not. And I'm just going to be honest, because it's not as versatile as the pieces that I like to have. And so I could see myself wearing this a lot in the summer, but I don't see me wearing it at all in the wintertime. That's just me personally. Other people may not, but again, if you're asking me truly, am I going to wear this a lot? I'll have to say no. But I think this is a great watch, and I think it's the perfect watch for someone that wants something that's very legible. The lume was also good on it. I forgot to mention that. I had captured a couple lume shots, and we'll put them on the website too. But it's incredibly legible, and I love that in a dive watch. Like, I love seeing it glow at night. And yeah, it's a great looking piece, and there's not a lot of people out there that are doing wave dials, because let's face it, like, Omega kind of owns the wave dial, and for them to step out as an independent brand, a smaller brand, and do something like that, and it doesn't look anything like, you can't even say, oh, it looks like an Omega. It doesn't. Like, it's its own wave dial, and it looks so good. And without it, I don't think I would like the watch as much. Like, it's so well done. They really, really nailed it. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece. How about you?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat, and I think this is what made this review so interesting, because when we, like what we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, we both had our very strong ideas about this watch. In all honesty, it's not either of our styles specifically, and that's what made this a little bit more difficult. But when you break it down, at the end of the day, it really just came down to our personal style. But the watch is still something that we do enjoy. We enjoyed having it. We enjoyed seeing it. So for me, this wouldn't be something that I would wear often for the same reasons. Versatility. I like something that I can kind of put on whatever, even during summer. If I'm in jeans and a shirt, it's typically a nicer shirt or something like that. I'm rarely, and even my t-shirts, you know, they're nicer fit t-shirts, things like that. Now, I will say the black DLC version of this watch, I would totally wear the hell out of. Like, I've been looking for an all black watch. I think that it looks so freaking cool. Again, I love the fact that it benefits, you know, marine life. Yeah, the all black version is hot. So I would probably definitely wear that quite a bit. But yeah, it's, and the thing, so the loom was phenomenal. Yes. All of that was great. Also the way that it fit on the wrist, because it is technically a larger watch, and Kat and I have smaller wrists. We have, you know, just under, right around the 6.5-inch wrist. But with the cushion case design, and just kind of the way the case back is designed, it fits so incredibly comfortable. It wasn't, and the fact that it's titanium, it's just light, so it can be a little bit on that thicker, bulkier side, but still feel very light and very comfortable. Yeah, I don't know. It's funky and it's cool. So I like the watch overall.
I think that, like, especially if you're the type of person that you love to wear these bigger dive watches in the summer, but sometimes, like, when you're hot and sweaty, like, you do feel weighed down sometimes by the watch on your wrist. I know I do. And so, like, this is a great option for someone that wants something a lot lighter. It'd be a great watch to work out in too, because you honestly just kind of forget about it when it's on the wrist. I did forget to mention too that you, on their website, you can pick the number that you want, which is not always an option with a lot of watches. So they actually have a scroll down menu, and, like, whatever's available, you can get on there and pick your number, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and there are still some available. These were introduced.
Oh, definitely.
Maybe about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I think that this watch was introduced.
Yeah, maybe about 2 months now.
Yeah, so these are still
I've
available.
lost track of time.
I know. All time is just, every day is the same. It's just work, podcast, more podcasts. YouTube now is definitely a big time consumer. But yeah, so definitely make sure you check out their website, which is farer.com, and that's spelled Farer. And we'll have, you know, pictures and links and all in the show notes. But I agree. It's very cool that you can pick out your own number, you know, in case you have something that's a little bit more sentimental to you, or a number that means a little something to you.
Yeah. And they actually do also a free engraving, I think up to like 10 characters. It's just like, there's like these little bonuses you get with this watch. And again, I just think it packs so much punch for the price point. Like, I don't know. And it's funny. And like you said, we love this watch, even though it's not a watch that we both want to buy, we still love it. And I would absolutely recommend this watch to anybody.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. This was a fun one.
This was fun. I'm glad that we did this. I was a little nervous about it, but I think it turned out pretty well. And thank you to Farer. They sent, like I said, we've had 4 of their watches in.
They sent all the watches.
They really sent all the watches. And really appreciate it, because we've been eyeing their watches. We've been looking at them online for quite some time. So it was nice to get an idea of a little bit of everything that they have. So nice of them to send these over. So thank you to them.
And it gave us a chance too to not only see this model, but to kind of see their personality and their character come through in different pieces. And they do have an incredible attention to detail that you could see in every single watch that we had. Whether it was something we liked or not, they do pay attention to all those little details. And yeah, it's a brand that's definitely on my radar way more now, and excited to talk to them hopefully pretty shortly.
I know, hopefully soon. But be sure you head over to our website, which is www.tennand2.com. So tennand2.com. We will have links to everything, show notes, links to everything in the show notes, as well as photos, as well as head over to the Farer website, which is just farer.com. Be sure you're following us over on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Tenn&2 Media. Get over to YouTube if you have not watched our debut YouTube. I wanted to say music video for a second, but that's definitely not right. If you haven't watched our debut video, y'all don't want to hear us sing. But if you haven't watched our video on the Norcane Sport Adventure Lady, go over there, check it out, get subscribed, because we will have a new video dropping here in just a couple of weeks, and we're so excited about it. So excited.
Yeah.
So be sure to get over there, and then hopefully, as we get a little bit more used to things, we'll get the videos going a little bit more frequently, but super excited. And I think that's it, right?
That's it.
Well, I guess we will be chatting with y'all again next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.